Hello everyone! In this video we're going to do an example program that simulates a hotel. So hotels have collections of rooms in them. And we're going to process some reservations, some checking in and some checking out using structures. Now, there's already an outline for the program, so if you'd like, go ahead and download hoteloutline.c so you can follow along. The outline already has in it the structure that we're going to use. And if you look at it, it's going to look a little bit different from our other examples. And that's because we're using something called type definition. Now, this isn't required, but it does allow us to kind of reduce the name of our structured data type so that here, where we have type def, this would normally be struct room. Since we're using a type definition, it's just going to be room. Everything else stays the same. We have the keyword struct for structure. We have the pieces of the structure that we want to keep, which is going to be the name of the person renting the room number, and the number of people staying there, the occupants. So instead of having type struct room, this type definition just allows us to call it room. Everything else stays the same. So we're going to make an array of rooms. Rooms is now our data type. And we're going to call that hotel. So hotel is an array of rooms. The function prototypes are already provided. What we're going to do is just fill in those functions so that they will do everything that they need to. And main's also filled in. So in main, we create our hotel. Hotel is an array of rooms, and there are max rooms, so 10 rooms in our hotel. It's a little hotel. We're going to initialize all of the values. Room numbers are going to be rooms 1 through 10, and we're going to start off with all 0 occupants. We'll print the menu, and then process the user's choice. They can check in, check out, print all of the people currently staying, and search for a particular reservation. We're going to keep doing that until they select quit, which is case 5. So the menu's already written. We just have to fill in everything else. Starting with check-in and then print so that we can test that check-in worked. When somebody's checking into our hotel, we're going to ask them for their name. And each string we have is going to be at most max letters long. We'll also ask them how many people are planning on staying with them. And we'll need a counter so that we can traverse our room array called hotel. Then we're going to search each room in our hotel and look for one that doesn't have any people staying in it. So we'll go to the ith room of the hotel and check the number of occupants. If we find one that doesn't have any people in it, then we're going to leave the loop. We've found the room that we want to put them in. It's going to be room I, so we're going to break out of the loop. We're going to check our I value before we put somebody in the ith room just to make sure that we didn't go all the way to the end of the hotel and didn't find anybody. If I is greater than or equal to max rooms, then we didn't find any empty rooms when we searched the hotel. means there is no room for that reservation. And if we did find a spot, then we're going to copy the information into that room of the hotel. So remember, name is a string, and we can't use an assignment statement with strings. We're going to use string copy. So we will copy the name of the reservation into the name of that hotel room. We'll also set the occupants equal to the number of people checking in. To make sure it's working, we're going to go ahead and fill out the print function so that we can check all of the rooms in the hotel. So we'll print the room number, the name of the reservation, and the number of people staying there, so number of occupants. But we only want to print rooms that actually have people in them, so we're going to go ahead and check that the ith room actually has occupants before we print it out. So if that room is not empty, then we will print things. So we're going to print the number, the name, and then the number of occupants. So in the ith room, print the number, the name, and the number of occupants. And I will make sure that that's working. So it prints our menu so we can check in, we can check out, we can print the occupants, we can search for visitor. We know we've only filled in 2 of those options, so those are the only ones we're going to check. If we print, we should see nothing at the moment. If we check in, we can check in Mr. Smith with 3 people. And it says he was checked into room 1. So now if we print all of the occupants, we should see room number, name, and number of occupants. Our output's a little all condensed at the moment. We can fix that. Just by adding some new line separators. So let's try again. See if our output looks a little bit better this time. Here we go. So now we need to add our other options. Let's go ahead and do search. In search, we're just going to look for a particular reservation and print out whether we found the person, and if we did, which room they're in, or if that person is not actually present. So we're going to figure out who are we looking for, a counter to traverse the array of rooms, and a flag to say whether or not we found them. We'll ask which guest are we searching for, and read that into our name variable. Then we will traverse all of the rooms, and what we're going to do is, if we find the person, we're going to let flag be equal to their room number. That's why we started it at -1 instead of 0, because we do have a 0th room, even if we do call it room 1. So we're going to go through all of the rooms, and if in the ith room we find the name that we're looking for, meaning the name in that room is the same as the name that they've given us here, then flag should be equal to that room number. And if we go through the whole hotel and find that flag has not changed, then we did not find them. Of course, when we print it out, we want to print it out using a 1-based numbering system. So we'll test this out and see what it looks like. Now, obviously, if we search at the beginning, we shouldn't find anybody because there's nobody here yet, which we can confirm by printing out the guest list. There's nobody here. So now we can add some people to the hotel. So if we add several different reservations, we can see who's in room 1, 2, and 3. And then if we search, we can look to see where these people are staying. So if we search for Jones, it says Jones is in room 2, which is true because we've already printed out the list. Okay. So now we've got 3 of our 4 options working out. We need to add in a checkout mechanism. So we're going to go to our checkout function, and we'll ask who is checking out. We'll keep track of which room is being checked out of, and we'll add in a flag just in case somebody types in a name that to check out that isn't actually in our hotel. We'll ask who's checking out and store that in our name. And then we're going to look for which room they're in by going through all the rooms of the hotel. So we're going to do another comparison to see if the name listed for that room is the same as the name that we're looking for. And we're also going to check to make sure that there's actually people staying in there. So if there's people to be checked out, meaning the occupants is not 0, and if this is the right name, then this is the room that we're trying to check out of. So if they are not in the hotel, then we're going to print out that they were not actually there. We can't check this person out because there's no occupant by that name. So we'll say, sorry, there's no occupant. Else we will check them out, and the way that we do that is to go into the hotel at their room number and set its occupants equal to 0. All of the people have left the room, so those occupants should now be not there anymore. And then we can say that they were checked out. Okay, so now we need to make sure that that works, and that will be the last function that we're looking for. We can add people. Check to make sure that everybody's there. Now we can check people out. If we look for somebody who's not there, it should say there's no occupant by that name. But if we find somebody who is there, then we can check them out. And then when we print the list of who's staying in the hotel, we should only see room number 2, because that's the only room that's currently occupied. Now if we look for somebody who should be checked out, we can see from this example that our current search function is not entirely correct. So when we go to search, it's not enough just to match their name. We also have to verify that there are occupants in that room. So let's try this again. Got our 2 families, the Smiths and the Jones. We're going to check the Smiths out. Only the Jones are still here. And then if we search for the Smiths, it should now say that they are no longer here. We can find the Jones, they're in room 2. And we can quit. So that's our hotel example. I hope you find it useful for reasoning about structures, arrays of structures, and functions, and I'll see you next time.